Hey, what is up, you people with unbalanced minds? It's Tyler here, and this is my new podcast about mental health. And I guess the best way to explain what I want to do and what the show's about is just to hop right into it. So, the biggest things I aim to do is to spread awareness and to break some stigmas if I can. And if I can help one of you guys who decide to listen to me, that would be fantastic. So by doing this, I'm just going to be talking about um, different statistics, different facts I find, and just giving you guys my opinion on things. So I guess let's hop right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the state of the mental health system here in America, where people can get help, both adolescents and adults. So I've been doing some research the past few days, and here's what I found. So, the Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System defines sad or hopeless as feeling sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 weeks or more in a row. So that they stop doing usual activities. And this is what they define as depression, which I'm not really sure how I feel about. I feel like you can't put a label on that. I feel like depression is one of those things where it can be situational or seasonal, or it can be a constant battle for somebody. Everybody's different. Everybody handles it differently. It could be, like I said, situational. It could be caused by maybe a death in the family or stress, and then once things kind of move through and even out, it could subside and go away. Or it could be seasonal, where your depression might flare up in the winter. Or it could be the constant feeling where it's just almost a daily struggle for some people. So the Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System, the YRBS, they did a few surveys, and I want to read you guys what I found, or the statistics they found. So, for this one, this is 30% of teens they asked said they felt depressed, which is the sad and hopeless for 2 or more weeks. 20% of the males and 40% of the females. So as you can see, that it starts off right now that the females percentage doubles the males, and that'll be a persistent trend in this selection of surveys. So, and then outside of high school students who reported they seriously considered committing suicide in the past 12 months, it's 18% of the kids they surveyed, 12% of the males, and 23% of the females. And then this is for high school students who attempted suicide, just 9% of everyone they surveyed, 6% are males and 12% are females. And as you can see, that the percentage dropped roughly in half for the kids who failed it and the kids who actually attempted it, which is interesting, I guess. So then next it has the percentage of high school students who report they attempted suicide, resulting in an injury, as in poisoning or overdose, and had to be treated by a doctor or a nurse. So you have, I'm not sure how I feel about them splitting this up, but from what I've gathered, they have like, the kid attempts suicide, but maybe things don't go well, mom and dad doesn't find out, and they just kind of keep going. Or you have the kids who committed suicide and it resulted in like a poisoning from an overdose, or you guys know, and they had to be treated by a doctor, and those percentages drop even more. It's down to 3% of kids who they surveyed, 2% of males, and 4% of females. So, in this trend you see where females are doubling males in percentages, it'll be persistent almost anywhere you go. It might not be as much, and that's because of what people have found is because of both. It's a combination of females being under more pressure to, be a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain weight. All those things add up. And then for the males, we were all taught from a young age, be masculine, be manly, be strong. So a lot of males don't report this stuff. They feel weak by feeling this way. And I have an article where it says that like part of the reason they feel that the male percentages are lower is that even on an anonymous survey, a man doesn't want to say how he's feeling. He doesn't want to be part of this. He doesn't want to feel this way. It's not okay 'cause he's a man. And I think that is it's very interesting. I think that also plays into why our mental health help system in the United States is where it is. Because a lot of the lawmakers, the people who pass these laws, who think about this, are older men from an older generation, where this stuff wasn't talked about. It was swept under the rug. It was almost like it wasn't real. It was almost like that's not. You're not sick. You're just sad. Dust yourself up and get up and go to work. And I think it's really interesting to see how, as the newer generations come up who are more open to talking about this, about how that will be seen in our lawmaking system on a lot of things, not only in mental health, but I think it'll be interesting. I think we'll start taking bigger strides to getting there, which is really good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next point, which is the availability of getting help to adolescents, which is interesting, honestly. I didn't know a lot of this because for me it was really easy to get help. It was easy. Even where I'm at, there were a lot of resources at my disposal, which is really nice, and I am lucky because of that. Because a lot of, especially adolescents, they have a lack of access to these resources and ways to help. And it's not only that they're not there; it's that they're limited, which is really interesting. I'm surprised no one's talking about this. Because mental health related services for adolescents, it's almost like they lag behind that of other children. Like any kind of health, it's weird. So, among adolescents with mental health needs, 70% do not receive needed care. That's crazy. That is not an okay number at all. That 70% of kids out there who are feeling this way don't have anyone to talk to, don't have anywhere to go, aren't getting the right medication if they need it. And a portion of that is because of insurance. Insurance companies don't help it, but there are also a lot of uninsured adolescents, because adolescents represent more than 25% of the 8.3 million uninsured people or children in the United States, and that's a statistic from '05. It's old, I know, but and what's interesting is nearly half of state child health insurance programs place limits on inpatient and outpatient mental health services, which I don't understand. I don't know. I just feel like any way I can think of it, I don't see any reason why. Because why would you limit something when this can and will cause more problems down the road, which doesn't help the insurance company anyways from having more problems. So I don't know. It's just interesting how no one's talking about this. But moving on, that laws in only 20 states and the District of Columbia give minors authority to consent to outpatient mental health services. This is crazy. This is crazy to me. That you in 30 states or 29 states, you don't have, until you're 18, you don't have any control over getting yourself help. You can't consent if your parents, who fall in the older generation usually, who may or may not think that this is not real, it's just a phase, you'll be fine. If they don't feel like you don't need help, you can't get help. And the table is also flipped, which is a much lower, less likely scenario. Whereas if the kid's feeling fine, but the parent thinks something's wrong, the parent can force them into it, which is good, because, I mean, not always good, but it can be good. So, and this, like, this was big for me when I was trying to get help, because adolescent not having get help on your own or seek out treatment, you also lose a lot of confidentiality there. And for some people, like, I know it was kind of hard for me to talk to my parents about it. So, and there's a high prevalence of depressive symptoms, including suicidal thoughts and suicide attempts among adolescents who forego care due to confidentiality concerns. So these kids are not getting treatment because they don't want it to get out. They're afraid that mom and dad's going to find out they're feeling this way, or that their friends are going to find out they're feeling this way, because a lot of people are embarrassed about feeling depressed, about feeling suicidal, about being anxious, or having any kind of mental disorder. Which I've been there, I understand that. But it's just, I think it's awful that these kids are not getting the help they need because they're afraid of someone finding out. And the way I look at it personally is that if you need help, you should get it. I understand it's embarrassing, but in any situation, whether it be like, the depression, like the caused by outside, like anomalies, like a death in the family, it's that will pass. Time will heal that. So it's good to get help while you're feeling that way, so it doesn't linger longer than it needs to. And then if it's like a constant depression, like a constant struggle you're facing, you getting help can save a lot of things later. I know it's embarrassing now, but it's better to get help and be embarrassed now than to have this all get worse or bubble over later in life to where it affects your work, your career, your family. Because it's much better to be embarrassed in high school than to be out of a job later in life because you're not getting the help you need. And the best way for you to move past this is to get the help you need. So one more final thing I would like to do is somewhere in the description and also on our Facebook page I will have different helplines, like the Suicide Prevention Helpline, the National Youth Crisis Helpline, things like that, for if you need help but you're afraid to talk to someone you know. Sometimes it helps a lot to have someone who's very unbiased in the situation talking to you, which is good. And if you like what I'm doing here and you want to see more of it, feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook. I'll be posting just audio files of this on SoundCloud. It'll be slightly different, but if you're more into that, just listening while you're in the car or something like that. So I want to thank you guys for sticking to the end of this video, and that's it. I'm signing off.